Have you ever felt that deep, lingering stiffness in your knees or hands and wondered why it keeps returning no matter how many creams or pills you try? A patient of mine once looked at me with tired eyes and said, "I thought this was just what getting older feels like." And I want you to imagine this for a moment. You wake up, place your feet on the floor, and instead of strength greeting you, it's that familiar tightness, that dull ache that seems to whisper that something inside your body is slowly wearing down. But what if that whisper isn't about aging at all? What if it's something far more important, something your body is trying to tell you? Millions of older adults across the United States experience daily joint pain, yet most never realize that the true source of their discomfort is inflammation quietly working beneath the surface. Inflammation isn't just a symptom, it's the body's alarm system. And when it goes unchecked for months or years, it begins to damage the very structures that keep you moving. It dehydrates cartilage, stiffens the tissue around your joints, irritates the nerves, and slowly takes away mobility. What shocks many seniors is that most inflammation-related joint damage happens long before the pain becomes severe. By the time many people notice the problem, the inflammation has already been silently weakening their joints for years. I've cared for countless patients who took medication faithfully, yet nothing changed because the medicine never addressed the real issue. The inflammation was still there, quietly wearing down the joints behind the scenes. The science behind it is actually simple. Healthy joints need moisture, movement, and smooth lubrication to function. Chronic inflammation strips those protections away. That's why pain worsens. That's why stiffness grows. And that's why so many people feel like their bodies are aging faster than they truly are. My goal in this video is to help you understand what's really happening inside your joints and show you how to recognize the early signs most people ignore. More importantly, I want to guide you toward natural, practical ways to reduce inflammation so you can move with more freedom and less fear. Your body isn't breaking down, it's asking for help. And together, we're going to learn how to give it the support it deserves. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to stay with me and subscribe to Senior Health Daily so we can continue this journey of healing and hope together. What inflammation really does to your joints. When we talk about inflammation, many people picture something dramatic, like a swollen ankle after a fall or a red, irritated finger after a cut. But the type of inflammation that damages joints is often quiet, slow, and almost invisible. It begins long before the pain becomes noticeable, and by the time most adults truly feel it, the process has already been at work for months or even years. I've seen this countless times in my practice. A patient comes in worrying about a stiff knee or a painful hip, and they're shocked to learn the root of the problem didn't start last week. It began long ago, unfolding silently inside their joints. Inflammation often starts with the small stressors we live with every day: a diet high in sugar or processed foods, long hours of sitting, stress that never fully releases, old injuries that healed on the surface but left deeper irritation behind, poor posture that shifts pressure into places the body wasn't designed to carry weight. Even environmental toxins, lack of movement, or weakened muscles can trigger this internal fire. None of these causes are dramatic by themselves, but together, they create the perfect storm for chronic inflammation. Once inflammation begins, it enters a cycle that becomes harder to escape the longer it continues. Pain makes people move less because movement feels uncomfortable. Less movement causes stiffness. Stiffness triggers more inflammation. The inflammation deepens the damage. And eventually, the cycle repeats day after day until the joints feel older and more fragile than they truly are. Many seniors don't realize they are caught in this pattern until their mobility becomes limited. Inside the joint, inflammation changes the environment in ways most people never imagine. It dries out cartilage, leaving it less cushioned and more prone to friction. It erodes the lining that protects the joint surfaces. It irritates the nerves, which makes pain feel sharper. It overstresses tendons and ligaments, which causes tension and weakness. Over time, this creates an ongoing sense of tightness or deep aching that doesn't seem to match the activity level of daily life. Nutritional deficiencies can worsen all of this. Vitamin D keeps bones strong and regulates immune function, yet most seniors are low in it without knowing. Omega-3 fatty acids help calm inflammation, but they are missing from many diets. Antioxidants fight joint damage, but few people get enough of them through fruits and vegetables. These gaps may seem small, but when the body lacks what it needs to protect its tissues, inflammation becomes louder. Understanding the true impact of inflammation is the first step to taking control again. In the next part, I want to explore why so many older adults overlook these warning signs, even when their bodies have been trying to signal them for years. Why aging adults ignore the warning signs? One of the most surprising patterns I've seen over the years is how many older adults completely overlook the early signs of inflammation. Not because they don't care, and not because they aren't paying attention, but because joint pain often changes so slowly that it becomes part of daily life. When discomfort creeps in little by little, the body adapts. People shift how they walk, change the way they bend, or move more cautiously without even noticing. Before long, the pain feels familiar, almost expected, and they begin to accept it as a normal part of aging. Many seniors truly believe joint pain is simply what happens as the years go by. They hear family members, friends, or even other doctors say, "That's just age catching up with you," and they stop questioning it. They chalk up stiffness to weather, swelling to overuse, and aching joints to a lifetime of movement. But the truth is that aging alone is not what causes joints to deteriorate. The real culprit is the slow, quiet inflammation that builds beneath the surface. And when people convince themselves that pain is just part of getting older, they miss the chance to intervene early when the body is most responsive to healing. There's also an emotional side to this. Many seniors are afraid of what a diagnosis might reveal. I've had patients tell me they waited months before coming in because they didn't want to hear the words arthritis or joint degeneration. Some hoped the pain would go away on its own. Others were afraid it would mean losing independence. This fear creates avoidance, and avoidance gives inflammation more time to do damage. I remember one woman in her 70s who came to see me only after she could no longer open jars or lift her arm above her head. She admitted she had felt stiffness years earlier but ignored it, thinking it was nothing. Another patient dismissed swelling in his knee for so long that, by the time he sought help, inflammation had already weakened the surrounding tendons. Stories like these are far more common than most people realize. Science shows that nearly 80% of joint damage caused by inflammation develops before pain becomes severe enough to disrupt daily routines. That means most people don't feel the worst of it until the problem is already advanced. The body does its best to cope quietly until it can't keep up anymore. And instead of recognizing these early signals, many seniors assume everything is fine simply because the pain isn't intense yet. Understanding why these signs are often ignored is essential. It helps us recognize that the earlier you respond to inflammation, the more control you can reclaim. And now that we've explored how easily these warnings slip by unnoticed, let's turn to the everyday habits that unknowingly make inflammation worse. Daily habits that intensify inflammation. As we continue this conversation, I want you to think about something important. Inflammation doesn't only come from big injuries or dramatic events. Most of the time, it grows quietly through daily habits that seem harmless on the surface. Many aging adults unknowingly feed inflammation day after day, not because they are doing anything wrong, but because no one ever explained how these small patterns shape the way their joints feel. One of the most common habits that worsens inflammation is sitting for long periods. It feels safe. It feels restful. But the truth is that joints need movement to stay nourished and flexible. When you sit too long, circulation slows, joint fluid becomes stagnant, and muscles begin to tighten around the joints. This stiffness triggers more inflammation, which makes the next movement feel harder than the last. It becomes a silent cycle that many seniors mistake for simply getting older. Repetitive movements are another hidden trigger. Whether it's bending over the same way while gardening, using the same arm to carry groceries, or twisting repeatedly during household chores. Repetition places stress on the exact same joint structures over and over again. Without breaks, those tissues become irritated. The irritation becomes inflammation. And before long, even light activities feel heavier than they should. Diet plays a far bigger role in inflammation than most people realize. High-sugar foods, processed snacks, refined carbohydrates, and fried meals can all raise inflammation levels throughout the body. Many older adults rely on convenience foods out of habit or practicality, but the body pays for them in the form of aching joints and slower recovery. When the diet lacks fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, and antioxidants, the body loses natural tools that fight inflammation from the inside out. Hydration is another surprisingly important factor. Joints rely on fluid to stay lubricated, yet many seniors simply don't drink enough water. When the body is even mildly dehydrated, cartilage loses elasticity, and joint movement feels rougher and more painful. A simple habit like sipping water through the day can make a bigger difference than most people imagine. Sleep also plays a powerful role. When sleep is poor, cortisol levels rise. This stress hormone increases inflammation, stiffens muscles, and makes morning pain feel sharper. Chronic stress itself does the same thing. Tension builds in the shoulders, hips, lower back, and neck when the mind is overloaded. Over time, stress can create inflammation even without physical activity. Even shoes contribute to this story. Worn-out soles, little arch support, or hard bottoms shift pressure into the knees, hips, and lower back. Many people don't connect their joint pain to their footwear, but the body does. These daily habits shape how the body feels more than most people realize. The good news is that once you understand what intensifies inflammation, you can shift toward habits that calm it. And that brings us to the most hopeful part of this journey, where I'll show you the natural, non-medication solution that truly changes joint health. The shocking non-medication solution. Now that we've uncovered how daily habits quietly fuel inflammation, I want to share something that often surprises my patients, something so simple yet so transformative that many people don't believe it until they feel the change for themselves. The most powerful solution for chronic joint inflammation isn't always a medication. It isn't a new pill or injection. It's a shift in how you move, how you nourish your body, and how you support the environment inside your joints every single day. Movement is the first pillar of this approach, and it works for a reason that is beautifully simple. Your joints were designed for motion. Cartilage doesn't have its own blood supply, so it relies on movement to pump nutrients in and flush waste out. When you move, even gently, you send nourishment directly into the tissues that protect your bones. Movement softens stiffness, reduces inflammatory chemicals, and activates healing pathways the body can't access while sitting still. Walking, cycling, swimming, or Tai Chi may look gentle, but inside your joints, they are powerful medicine. Strength is the second pillar. Many seniors assume their pain comes from damaged joints, but in reality, the deeper issue is often weakness. When muscles are strong, they absorb impact, stabilize your balance, and keep your joints aligned. When muscles are weak, joints take the full force of every step, every bend, and every lift. That extra pressure becomes friction, and friction becomes inflammation. Even small amounts of strength training, using resistance bands, light weights, or simple chair exercises, can change how your joints feel within weeks. I have seen older adults regain control of their movement simply because they rebuilt the muscles their joints had been crying out for. The third pillar is an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. Food is the body's chemistry, and it influences inflammation more than many people realize. Berries, salmon, olive oil, leafy greens, turmeric, and ginger calm inflammation naturally. Processed sugar, fried foods, and refined carbs ignite it. Hydration matters too, because joint lubrication depends on fluid. Sunlight boosts vitamin D, which strengthens bones and regulates immune responses. And something as simple as improving posture can instantly reduce stress on the hips, knees, and spine. Weight loss, even as little as 5 or 10 pounds, reduces joint pressure dramatically. I've seen people cut their knee pain in half just by lightening the load their joints were forced to carry for years. These three pillars, movement, strength, and anti-inflammation, work together like a team. They don't hide symptoms. They change the environment inside your body so inflammation weakens and healing becomes possible. And the seniors who commit to them often experience improvements they didn't believe were still available to them. In the next section, I want to show you real people, real stories, and real transformations that prove these strategies truly work. Real stories that prove it works. One of the most inspiring parts of my work has always been witnessing real people transform their lives once they finally understand what inflammation has been doing to their joints. Every story stays with me, not because of the challenges these individuals faced, but because of the hope they discovered when they realized their bodies were still capable of healing. These moments are powerful reminders that age does not end possibility. It simply asks for a different kind of care. I think of a man in his late 60s who came to my office barely able to walk a block without stopping. He was convinced he was heading toward knee surgery. The pain was intense, and his mobility was disappearing quickly. But when we examined him, it turned out that inflammation and weak leg muscles were doing far more damage than the joint itself. With a tailored plan focused on strengthening his quadriceps and reducing inflammation through food and movement, something remarkable happened. Within months, he no longer needed the surgery he once feared. His steps grew steadier, his confidence grew stronger, and he told me he felt like he had gained back a part of his life he thought was gone forever. Then there was a woman in her 70s whose shoulders had become so stiff she could barely lift her arms. She assumed it was arthritis from aging, but the deeper cause was chronic inflammation combined with years of poor posture. Once she began daily posture corrections, gentle stretching, and vitamin D supplementation, her mobility slowly returned. The day she raised both arms overhead without pain, she cried tears of relief right in my office. I also remember a senior who had battled severe swelling in her knees for years. She tried everything from over-the-counter pain relievers to expensive treatments, but nothing provided lasting relief. When we shifted her to an anti-inflammatory diet and encouraged her to start a simple walking routine, her body changed rapidly. The swelling reduced, her energy increased, and she moved more freely than she had in a decade. She told me she wished someone had explained inflammation to her 20 years earlier. And then there are those who relied on pain pills for so long they forgot what it felt like to move without fear. One older adult came back to see me 6 months after starting a movement-focused program, and he said something I'll always remember. "I used to think my joints were dying. Now I think they're waking up." These stories are more than inspiring moments. They are proof that the body can change, adapt, and heal when given the right tools. And that brings us to something equally important: knowing how to protect yourself along the way. Because healing is powerful, but safety ensures your progress lasts. Safety guidelines and when to seek help. Before we continue forward, I want to share one of the most important truths about healing your joints. Natural methods, movement therapy, strength building, and anti-inflammatory habits can transform your life. But healing is never just about doing more. It's also about doing things wisely and recognizing when your body needs protection. Over the years, I've seen many seniors make progress only to slow down because of small, avoidable mistakes. So let's talk openly about how to stay safe as you begin your journey toward reducing inflammation and restoring healthier joints. One of the greatest risks I see, especially in older adults, is the habit of sitting for long periods without realizing how quickly stiffness settles in. Sitting itself isn't the enemy, but staying still for hours at a time tells your joints to tighten and your muscles to switch off. When you finally stand, everything feels heavier and more strained. Simply breaking up long periods of sitting with moments of gentle movement can prevent this. Even a slow walk to the kitchen or a few light stretches can reset your joints and keep inflammation from building. Another pitfall is pushing through pain. Many people grow up believing they need to be tough, that pushing harder will make the body stronger, but pain is communication. Sharp, intense, or sudden pain is your body's way of saying something is wrong. Mild discomfort can be normal when you're strengthening weak muscles, but severe pain is a warning you should never ignore. Respecting those signals not only prevents injury, but also allows your joints to heal at a safer, more sustainable pace. Repetitive movements also deserve attention. Whether you love gardening, cooking, knitting, or home projects, repeating the same motion again and again can irritate the tissues around your joints. Varying your movement, taking breaks, or switching hands can make a tremendous difference in preventing inflammation from flaring up. Your environment matters too. A dim hallway, a loose rug, a pair of old shoes, or an uneven step can turn a simple movement into a dangerous fall. Supportive footwear provides a stable foundation for your joints. Good lighting prevents missteps. A safer home reduces unnecessary strain and keeps your body moving without fear. And then there are the moments when you should seek help. If swelling becomes persistent, if you experience fever along with joint pain, or if you suddenly cannot move a joint the way you normally do, it's important to speak with a healthcare professional. Early guidance can prevent small issues from becoming long-term problems. Safety is not about slowing you down. It's about protecting the progress you're working so hard to build. And with that foundation in place, we can now move into one of the most powerful parts of this journey, where your mindset begins to reshape what you believe is possible for your body. Mindset shift. You are not broken. As we reach this final part of the main content, I want to pause and speak to you in the most honest and heartfelt way I can, because everything we've talked about so far, all the science, all the strategies, all the stories, they matter. But none of them become truly powerful until your mindset allows them to take root. Healing your joints isn't just a physical journey, it is an emotional one, and the beliefs you carry about your body are just as important as the steps you take to care for it. Many older adults live with a quiet fear that their pain means something inside them is breaking down for good. They worry that stiffness is a sign of decline or that inflammation is a signal that their best years are behind them. I've seen that fear in so many faces over the years. And I understand it. When pain becomes a daily companion, it's easy to believe it's a verdict rather than a message. But I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. Your body is not giving up. It is asking for attention, for nourishment, for movement, and for patience. The truth is that most joint inflammation does not represent permanent damage. It represents imbalance, and the body is amazingly capable of correcting imbalance when given the chance. Joints adapt, muscles strengthen, cartilage nourishes itself through motion. New cells grow, pain signals quiet when inflammation fades. I have watched people in their 70s regain mobility they thought was gone forever. I have watched people in their 80s build strength they never believed they could rebuild. These transformations did not happen because they were younger or luckier. They happened because they chose to believe that progress was still possible. This mindset shift is one of the most powerful tools you can carry with you. When you stop seeing pain as a punishment and start seeing it as communication, you open the door to healing. When you stop assuming you're too old to improve and start trusting your body's ability to respond, you create space for real change. Every small habit, every walk, every stretch, every moment of care begins to compound. I want you to remember something simple but life-changing. You are not at the mercy of inflammation. You are not a passenger in your own body. You have influence and you have power. And the steps you take, no matter how small they seem, can shift the trajectory of your health in profound ways. Now that we've explored the truth about inflammation, the habits that intensify it, the natural solutions that calm it, and the stories of people who overcame it, we're ready for the final part of our journey. The conclusion that ties it all together and helps you step forward with clarity, hope, and confidence. Hope, strength, and action for the years ahead. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to take a slow breath and allow your body to soften for a moment, So many seniors carry the weight of pain as if it were a punishment, something they must endure quietly. But pain is not punishment, it is communication. It is your body reaching out, asking for better care, better attention, and a gentler kind of support. When you begin to listen to that message, everything starts to change. Inflammation and joints may sound like a frightening combination, but the truth is far more encouraging. Inflammation is not a life sentence. It is a condition that responds beautifully to movement, nourishment, and consistency. Even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, your joints can adapt. Your muscles can strengthen. Your body can rediscover balance and ease. Healing is not reserved for the young. It is available to anyone who takes small steps with intention. If there is one message I want you to carry with you, it is that the simple habits you choose each day make a remarkable difference. Walk a little more. Drink enough water. Stretch gently in the morning. Fill your plate with foods that calm inflammation. Strengthen your muscles with small movements that build stability and confidence. These choices may seem small, but inside your body, they are powerful acts of healing. And as you make these changes, take a moment to celebrate the body you live in. It has carried you through decades of life, through challenges, joys, memories, and seasons of growth. It still wants to support you. It still wants to move with you. It still wants to heal. Independence is not preserved by medication alone. It is protected by knowledge, action, and the belief that your health is worth investing in. If today's message gave you clarity, hope, or strength, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Follow Senior Health Daily for more guidance, encouragement, and practical steps to help you live the life you deserve. Your best years are not behind you. They are waiting for you.